Hello there, you absolute legends. Emma McElhinney here with Piss Off Perimenopause and the musings of a bullshit queenager. I am here to ruin your misconceptions about perimenopause, fat loss, and kick midlife in the face. So if you think your 40s are a drag, think again. Because every week I am going to be stripping down the myths about perimenopause. I'm serving you raw, unfiltered truths about your health and smashing misconceptions about fat loss. And a whole lot more. So if you thought you knew midlife, you don't know the half of it. Aging is inevitable, but getting old is a choice. So buckle up, grab a glass of something yummy, and let's get to it. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Piss Off Perimenopause and the musings of a bullshit queenager. It is me, Emma McElhinney, the founder of Team Eat, Move, Win, where we help women in their 40s and 50s feel freaking amazing. That's it. Now, before we go into today's episode, I would love to ask you a favor. I would love to ask you to review the podcast on whatever platform you use it. I think most people are using Spotify, and I'd love for you to share the podcast as well. It would be awesome. And the reason for that is the more people that engage with it on whatever platform, the more it'll be promoted elsewhere. And of course, I want as many people as possible to listen to this and obviously get support, get help where they might need it. So that would be amazing. And the second thing is, once you have listened today, if you want to, I have got a free Find Your Perimenopause Profile quiz, and the link for that is in the show notes. And it will take you, I think it's 16 questions that'll help you identify your own perimenopause profile. Okay, right. So today we are talking all about willpower. And the reason we're talking about willpower is because I did a bit of a survey last week, and one of the most used words in that survey was willpower and how people don't feel that they have any. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what is willpower and why it's actually not willpower that is the issue for most people. So let's start off with what is willpower. So I did a Google search that said, what is willpower? And basically it says that control exerted to do something or restrain impulses. And I think most people will recognize what that is, especially in the world of health or lifestyle when we're trying to make changes. A lot of the time we use sheer force of will to not do something, or to not drink, or to not eat the cake, or to not whatever. And actually, willpower is not the issue, or lack of willpower is not the issue. So if you think about, if you've been in a situation where you have tried to change your lifestyle, whether you've tried to start a new gym regime or lose body fat or whatever it is, just try and eat healthier, for example. If you've done it really well for a couple of weeks and then it's all fallen off the wagon, that's where you'll blame your willpower. If you're quite all or nothing in your approach to food or lifestyle or exercise, you will find that I just lose willpower at the weekend. And when we get into these patterns of doing something particularly well, often extreme, but particularly well for a short amount of time, and then it all goes to pot, we blame ourselves and we start believing that nothing works for us because we've tried everything. You may have tried, all your standard high street shitty diets. You may even have tried some more well-known dieting apps, and still hasn't worked. And we ultimately blame ourselves. We ultimately believe that nothing works for us, and we blame our willpower for not making them work. By, if you are listening to this, chances are, as you are used to somebody that is being in control of certain things, whether that is business life, family life, money life, career, normally used to getting shit done ultimately. But we have to question if that, we see success stories all about us. We see people that have succeeded in whatever it is that you're trying to do. And we almost feel that because it's us, we have failed because so-and-so has managed to do it. Why can't I manage to do it? And question how other people can do it. So, willpower is very like motivation to a certain extent. Motivation is something that triggers you to start doing something. Willpower is something that keeps you doing something. But both are very similar in the fact that they are completely fickle. Think of them like cats. They will turn up when you don't need them to turn up. They'll vanish when you need them to be there, or when you least expect it. And you may often find yourself going, I'm just not motivated, just can't be arsed. And that is actually quite normal. And it's also normal for willpower to not last particularly long amount of time. Because willpower is essentially discipline. It only lasts for so long, and then once it's gone, it's gone. And if we think about it from a dieting point of view, a typical diet cycle is you decide that's it, I'm on a diet, whatever the reason is, that the clothes don't fit, you feel shit, somebody called you healthy, and I don't actually know where that came from. I always actually feel quite positive when somebody calls me looking healthy, but there's always a trigger, and that's it, I'm going to do it. And then we utilize all our willpower to deprive ourselves, to eat very strictly, to either track calories or just macros, or we follow very regimented rules like keto or 800 calories diet, or juice cleanse, or whatever it is. And then what tends to happen is it's either cravings, or we get our head turned by an event, or somebody has something that we want and we desire it. So then it's just going to bugger off, and that willpower will then go. You'll end up eating the food or end up breaking the diet, whatever it is. Then you'll feel guilty. You'll blame yourself. Why can't I do this? What is wrong with me? And then we go back in this cycle, round and round and round. And that is a very typical, very common dieting cycle. So that where you have tried to do anything based on willpower alone, that it's not sustainable. You've got the evidence there. And I want you to know that that's not actually your fault. And for those of you that are sitting going, well, nothing works for me, I can't use willpower, I just don't have any willpower, right? So I want you to think about, if we look at this in a slightly different way, and we have to think about how our brain works. And I'm not going to get too deep in neuroscience on this, but 90 to 95% of our decisions and actions are done subconsciously. So we're not even aware that we're doing them. It's just things that we've absorbed over the years, habits that we've ingrained, patterns that we have, and just our thought processes. And that then means that 5% is our conscious, 5 to 10% is our conscious mind, is our conscious thought processing. So if we are trying to use more of our conscious mind and willpower, then it makes sense that the more powerful part of our brain, the subconscious, is always going to overrule the conscious part. 90 to 95% is our subconscious, 5 to 10 is our conscious. So, yep, that's pretty common sense that subconscious mind is always going to rule the roost. So if we want to start thinking about what is it that stops us from succeeding and whatever it is that we're trying to do. So one of the first things to look at, and to always look at, is ourselves, and look at what we are telling ourselves, and look at what beliefs that we have that are actually putting a whole blocker on the whole thing. So I mentioned this phrase earlier on about believing that nothing works for you. If you truly believe that, then nothing is ever going to work for you, because your subconscious now has this in its mind, this evidence that nothing works. And by constantly trying to use willpower and restriction to get results, when we know scientifically that actually doesn't work for anybody in the long term, but if that's all you've tried, then you don't have any proof that anything else can work. So if you believe that nothing will work for you, then nothing will work for you. So that's an area to work on, and going, right, okay, is this actually true in real life? And the answer is no, that is not true in real life. That is just something that you have come to believe over the years. And how do we know it's not true in real life? Because other people get results. Other people get sustainable fat loss. Other people get healthy lifestyle implementation. But they're not doing it by using willpower alone. It's That's just not what's happening. Now, we have to look for the proof, and we can believe certain things. So say you look around you, look at the people around about you, look at the people you work with, and you find somebody that's done what you want to do. Now, chances are you're going to automatically go, but it's all right for her. She doesn't have 2 kids and a dog and a business and whatever. They are just the beliefs in your head that are trying to keep you safe from doing anything different. Okay. So have a think and going, is this actually true in real life, or is this just something that I'm making myself believe? If you believe subconsciously that lifestyle change or losing fat is going to be really hard and restrictive and horrible, then it's not going to put you in a positive place to go out there and try and do it, is it? And it doesn't have to be hard and horrible and restrictive. I bet you've tried the hard and horrible and restrictive and you've not got the results. So we know that bit doesn't work. But what if it were easy, and what if it was sustainable, and what if it was built into stuff that you already do and will keep doing? Surely that puts it in a much more positive light and makes it seem more doable. So again, it's starting to question your own beliefs and going, right, okay, maybe it's not hard and horrible. Maybe I have seen evidence of other people not doing hard and horrible and still getting results. And if that's the case for them, then there's no reason why that wouldn't be the case for me. And the other one that is a big belief, which I do question a lot, is about, this was one of the things that came back in this survey that I mentioned, is like, I already know what to do, I just need to do it. But actually looking at that and going, okay, where does this belief come from? Because surely if I did know what to do and how to do it, I would just be doing it. And there's a kind of little bit of ego in there, because we all have this expectation, you see it all over social media, just eat less and move more, which is fine to a certain extent. What that's getting to is create a bigger calorie deficit by eating less calories and doing more exercise. But that's not actually what works, because you can do that. You can do that in the short term. Anybody can do that in the short term, because that is using that really strict willpower way to do that. But fundamentally, we have to look at our behavior change. We have to look at the subconscious changes that we have. We have to look at our habits. And that's why the stuff that we do here at Team Eat Move Win is so valuable, because we are introducing different concepts. We're introducing different approaches to lifestyle that isn't based on this over restriction, that isn't based on this, you must use all the discipline and the willpower in the world to stay away from these foods. And a really common thing that I hear from clients, in fact, I was talking to one of my one-to-one clients today, and she was talking about everything that she has ever done. And she has invested a lot of money in coaches before, but it's always been around the concept of you can't have this and you can't have that and you can't do this and you can't do that. And that then obviously has formed her current beliefs. So when she's been working with me, she's like, I've had a Chinese, I've had chocolate, and I've had wine. Why am I still losing body fat? And it's because we've not got to the point. She's never going to get to the point where she's like, I can't do this, it's too hard. And her willpower vanishes because it is too hard. So when we look at behavior change in a slightly different way, and we start thinking about different mottos, even like one of the ones that we use is progress, not perfection. Anybody can be perfect for a short amount of time, but that's not the point. The point is to make sustainable changes that last over a longer period of time. And when we can do that, we are then creating new subconscious behaviors, and we know that the subconscious behaviors will overrule everything. So if we can create these small changes to our day-to-day life without actively having to try too hard, without applying heaps and heaps of discipline, we will embed them. We build trust with ourselves that we can do it. When we start building trust with ourselves that we can do it, that then feeds into future changes that we're doing. So like in the short term, I suppose discipline is needed, because you have to learn to say yes to the right things, not just the food, but to the right processes, to the right actions, and start questioning, not saying no to, but start questioning the poorer choices and going, right, is this going to serve me? Is this going to help me feel good? Is this going to nourish me? Is this going to help me reach my goals? And there'll be some cases where I go, absolute no, it's not going to serve me. It's not going to feel good. and it's not going to help me reach my goals, but I can still do that. And if I apply certain principles around it, then you're never going to feel like you're restricted, and you're never going to feel like it's overly disciplined or having to use all the willpower in the world. And if you think about, we live in a time where we all want instant gratification. We all want the results now. Our the amount of time, the amount that we can concentrate on one thing has plummeted in the last few years. And yeah, of course, we want instant gratification. We want instant results. And for some people, that means I need to be really, really, really strict because that makes me feel good. But if we're not open to changing that, and if we're not open to going, right, okay, I can still get results and I can still get results quickly, but I want it to be in a way where it actually makes me feel good and it makes me feel happy and it makes me feel that this is something that I can do for a long, long time. Because doing the 800 calorie a day diet, doing a juice cleanse, doing keto, they're not easy things to do. They are designed to be done in a short amount of time. And then most people can't ever sustain them long term. But your subconscious tells you that this is not going to be sustainable because you probably tried something like it before and not being able to do it. And we can't do it long term. It's just not sustainable. But when we then go, oh, well, I ended up eating all the toast, or I ended up just ditching the juices, or whatever the thing is, we call it self-sabotage. But it's actually nothing to do with ourselves. It's because what we were doing in the first place does not serve us. It's not the right thing for us. So that is then just another example of passing the blame back to ourselves. And the blame doesn't sit with us. The blame sits with not doing the right thing not being the right thing for us. It's just not a sustainable approach. But when we can build in sustainability, which, quite frankly, is quite dull, it's quite a boring word. But the whole point of what I do is for people to get long-term results, to get long-term health, so that they can focus on the things that really matter to them. A lot of people, yes, they have a high priority of their health, they have a high priority of their fat loss, they have a high priority of their fitness levels. But most people would rather have that stuff in the bag and not have to worry about it, so that they can spend more time, with the kids, or going on holiday, or working with clients, or whatever the thing is. And that is the whole point, is creating a really sustainable approach. So the advice that I'd give you today is start thinking about your relationship with willpower, and thinking about your relationship with discipline. Thinking about, how can I create a fresh approach that doesn't rely on these things in the long term? How do I use maybe a little bit of discipline for a short amount of time, but what are the small steps that I need to do to create that subconscious behavior change, and not just have it as a surface level tactic? And that's what we want to look at. And the other thing to think about today is, how do you move away from this instant gratification? How do we start looking towards long-term goals? Because you can get, like, if you do something really quick fixy, you can lose, like, I've seen people lose 8-9 pounds in a month, which too fast won't last, right? It's just fact of life. That's not a sustainable approach. But most people don't have a goal of 6-7 pounds. Most people have a goal 14 pounds, 21 pounds, 28 pounds, right? And thinking about the long-term aspect is what's more powerful to start doing long-term actions. So think about, what is the end result that I seek, and what is the time frame around that? I mean, is it realistic to do it in 6 months? Is it realistic to do it in a year? And thinking about, what are the behaviors, what are the actions that I need to do within my life that's going to help me get there. And it's never going to be a juice cleanse. It's never going to be eating 800 calories a day, because you can't do that for 6 months or for a year. It's like, okay, what are some of the things that I'm currently not doing that I need to do better on? And it could just be things like eating more fruit and veg, eating more protein, exercising more, walking more, drinking more water, sleeping better, managing stress better, boundaries, time management, prepping, planning, there's 101 things that you can do. And the trick is to not try and do all 101 things at one time, but creating a plan of attack where you're only focusing on 1, 2, 3 things at a time to build that trust that you can do. And then once you've nailed it and you're like, yeah, this is fine, this is good, I can do this, then introduce something else. And it's by doing things like that that's going to get the big results over time. If you've ever read Atomic Habits, you'll know the whole concept of incremental marginal changes done over a long period of time are the things that get the big results. So have a think about your lifestyle currently and what you want it to look like and what are the things that you need to do to get there. And that's how we move away from this, my willpower is not strong enough, I always self-sabotage, because ultimately that's what your willpower is supposed to do. It's not supposed to be around forever. So that's not a fault on you. That is not self-sabotage. That is just simply the thing that you've been doing doesn't work in the way that you want it to work. So I hope that's helped somebody today. If it has, let me know. Send me a wee DM, send me an email it's Emma@Team EMW, and let me know what you can do differently. And if you do need support with it, then we can always have a quick chat and see what I can do to help you. And as I said at the beginning, I would love it if you could rate, like, share, just do all the things. And I will speak to you in the next episode. And don't forget to do the Find Your Perimenopause profile afterwards. Speak to you soon. Just like that, we have spiced up another episode of Piss Off Perimenopause and the musings of a bullshit queenager. Massive shout out and a huge thank you for hanging out with me today. I really hope you've been entertained. And remember, don't be shy, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, keep those heels high and standards higher. Remember, it's all about glowing, growing and downright owning it. So catch you on the flip side, and don't forget to click the link in the show notes to get your free